Alrighty. Hey, everybody, Steve here. And today we're doing another live update. Just trying to do some more updates that I can now be in a upright sitting position. And for those of you who don't know, my name's Steve, retired in Korea. The YouTube channel, The Varied Life, is where me, the wife, and I sold everything in the United States: house, cars, um, pots, pans, kitchen utensils, everything in the kitchen junk drawer, threw some stuff in a couple of suitcases, and we ended up here in Korea. So yeah, that's what we got going on. I do a little bit of adjustment here. But yeah, we kind of wondering why I'm squinting. That's part of the update, is the medical. There, how's that? That's a little better. Yeah, that's not too bad. So, medical update. I had some medical procedures done while we were here in Korea, which has been very interesting, to the fact that, let me see if I can put this up a little bit. How's that? I guess that's good. I guess. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But it ends up being here in Korea. I have TRICARE Overseas Select because I'm retired military. So usually we have TRICARE Prime, but then when you're overseas, you choose the TRICARE Overseas Select program, which pays for your medical. You might have to pay some small copays. That's always an important thing, to have medical covered and medical insurance. If you retire overseas to Philippines or pretty much any other country, they're going to have a requirement that you have to have some medical type insurance, or proof that you can pay for that, which is usually through insurance verification. Just having a big fat bank account doesn't count in many places. So anyway, medical problem I had is that my vision was decreasing. I ended up in my right eye, in the bottom left-hand corner, as I look, I had an obscured field of view. So if I looked through my right eye and kind of glanced down to where my nose is, I wasn't able to see my nose because there was this grayed out blind spot area. That area started growing and increasing in size, went to Samsung Medical Clinic because it's like, yeah, this is getting bad enough. It's blurry vision, kind of hazy. And I was like, yeah, this isn't right. Went to the doctor, long story short, did a number of tests, went to go back and get an MRI, was going to have a follow-up appointment about 2 weeks later. And the doc said, nope, I need to see you right now. So yeah, there's that. And it ends up that I had one retinal tear in this eye, in my left eye, and then I had 4 retinal tears in this eye, along with a detached retina. Now, there's a number of reasons for having this, and it's called scotoma. But it could be glaucoma, it could be diabetic retinopathy, it could be macular degeneration, it could be the effects of stroke or things like that, or it could be injury. And for some people, the scotomas are there and they don't know why. Some people get them when they have migraine headaches, but they go away. Mine was ever increasing. And so they did a lot of further testing, which was amazing. And I found out through the ophthalmologist and the surgeon is that if you have nearsightedness, that puts you more at risk for retinal tears and retinal detachments than other people, which is, I looked it up, it's true, through a number of medical sites and so on and so forth. But in my entire life, never, ever have I had an ophthalmologist, eye doctor, or PCM or whatever mention that at all. So yeah, there's some people that are probably going around that your vision is getting a little hazy and you're thinking, well, I just need a new prescription. Yeah, it could be that your eyes are degrading and you need a new prescription, but it could be that you have retinal tears or retinal detachment. And my detachment was really bad. The retinal tear in this eye, it was that same day that the doc wanted to see me and says, oh, well, we're going to do laser surgery. And I'm thinking, oh, great. I'm going to have to laser surgery. And how long is that going to take? Maybe 10 minutes. What they ended up doing is the location of the tear, and they just did like a laser around it. It was the brightest thing I had ever seen. I don't know if you're a kid and you looked up at the sun and played that, how long you can look at the sun game with your eyes open. Yeah, I'm that old. We did stupid stuff like that. but this was the brightest light I'd ever seen. It was the most uncomfortable I've ever been in my eyes at all. But with that being said, boom, fixed it, contained it so that it won't continue to rip and tear. Vision came back good. So I'm excited about that. However, with this side, it ends up the retinal detachment surgery is something that they put me under general anesthesia. I also had some other complications and problems. I had the 4 tears, and then I also had cataracts forming. So the surgeon recommended, he said, hey, in my opinion, and what we do here in Korea is that, especially for people that are 50 years and older, we go ahead and treat that. So yeah, he said, we're going to replace the lens. We'll do that and then put in a new lens. And he says, then I'll go in, I'll make 3 incisions around the eyeball. We'll fix the detached retina. We'll pump your eye full of gas. And then for the next 4 or 5 days, I should be looking at the ground. Sleeping, I should be facing face down. And I've been looking at the ground so much, it's not even funny. So the point of where I'm having neck and shoulder pain because the surgery went really well. The surgeon ended up saying, hey, I've done the best that I can do. Success rate is 90% plus, and he was really pleased. 90% of the gas was still left in the eye, so that was really good. He said, now it's up to me to face the ground as much as possible. And so I don't know if you've ever tried to do that. But yeah, I've also have chronic back pain. And so laying face down is not conducive to sleep for me. So I'm kind of like sitting up in chairs and facing down, kind of doing this on tables with pillows. And it's been kind of problematic, but yeah, doing the best I can and really proud at how much I've been able to do. Usually I'll be up in this face up position only for, 5, 10, 15 minutes while I eat. Then after that, it's back to, reading on my iPad or watching a movie or listening to an audiobook or whatever, just trying to rest and get some cat naps here and there with my head down. So we got that going on. So yeah, I'm really amazed with the progress that I've had. And whereas the vision in this eye, like I can make out my fingers, albeit they're blurry, but at least it's better than what it was before because I couldn't even see my fingers with my right eye. So it'll take a number of months for this to restore vision. It's a long time thing coming. But yeah, the important thing is to get the surgery. So yeah, if you're nearsighted, then definitely be aware of those increased risks of retinal tears and retinal detachment, and then cataracts as well, especially when you hit your 50s, and I'm 56. So go back. Today's what, Saturday, whatever day is today. What is today? Today is, I know it's the 4th, but what day is it? Oh, it's Sunday. So that's good. So it's been about 4 days since I've had the surgery, and it took about 3 days to get over the anesthesia. Usually when I wake up from anesthesia from other procedures I've had in the past or surgeries, I don't have a problem. It's just like I'm hungover. I don't say crazy stuff or, oh, where's the unicorns and whatever. I know where I'm at when I wake up, and it's just like I'm tired and whatever. But it makes me physically weak and kind of lightheaded and dizzy. And then, of course, bodily functions are not normal. It takes a few days to get that back to normal. But other than that, the Seoul or the hospital in Seoul, which was the Samsung Medical Center, was absolutely awesome. Super professional. Not one rude person or staff ever have we encountered. Compared to the United States, you can guarantee that you'll run into somebody with a bad attitude or whatever. Not my experience here in Korea, so that's awesome. So it'll be a number of months before my eyesight is returned to where I can read. Right now, I'm not driving, not doing anything, just kind of focusing on facing the ground and doing that. So there's that. TRICARE Overseas Select will pay everything. I think we had to make a small pay because we did have an overnight stay. It was like, I don't know, 347,000 won, which is, I don't know, $260, $250, something like that for the overnight stay, private room, which was awesome. So yeah, that's what's going on in the medical front. For fitness, obviously, I can't lift anything. So, as many of you know or don't know, I go to the gym 4 days a week. I kind of focus on lifting weights, lifting heavy, getting big. That's kind of my hobby now, is doing that. I want to be fit and young as possible for as long as possible. So I do a lot of weightlifting. I do cardio. So that's off the table. So people are asking me, well, how is this going to interfere with your muscle gains? How are you going to lose all your gains? And they're concerned about themselves because maybe they got to go through a surgery or they got to go somewhere where they can't exercise and continue that lifestyle habit for a few weeks or whatever. Yeah, the big thing is to maintain protein intake. Do like a maintenance phase, get on your caloric calculator and your macro calculator. Obviously, I'm not going to be eating as much because I'm not exercising as much. I'll go to the gym and I'll spend 2.5 hours in the gym working out. So since I'm not doing that, I'm cutting down, still maintaining a good protein level for intake on protein. And I don't want to get to the point of where I lose or I gain body fat. And still got some abs there. That's not bad. That's not bad. So yeah, and I've always done that when I was in the military and I was lifting, and even when I was out and I was in good shape before. If I had some medical problem or something where I got sick, or like you get COVID or whatever, it knocks you out for a couple of weeks, can't go to the gym, I will automatically adjust my intake for food, and I don't overdo it. Sometimes I underdo it, but eventually I'll get back to the gym and be able to do that. Get back to bulking and putting on some more muscle and see how that goes. Some other people asked me about living in Korea. What is it like living in an apartment? And we're in our apartment, and it's 4 bedroom, 2 bath. It's a nice higher end apartment complex, have a semi-private elevator. So in other words, when you take the elevator from the underground parking and go to the floor that we live on, there's only 2 units. So there's our neighbor, the elevator, and our unit. So that's why I call it a semi-private elevator. So yeah, it's a nice place. Most people are considerate. I'd say about 99% of the people are considerate in regards to noise. We live, if you look outside our living room window, as you look down, because we're kind of higher up, you can see the playground and there's kids playing and all this stuff, and that's awesome. Uh, kind of see them play and deal with the rugrats and whatever. Our rugrat has grown; she's a doctor, but it brings back some memories. But it's also comforting knowing that we don't have to deal with rugrats anymore. But yeah, there's a consideration level that comes with living in Korea, especially in apartments, because the majority of people live in apartments, which is very different than the United States, which is most people live in homes. So in a home, you have your own yard, you have more space. It can be, really spread out, or it can be just right on top of each other. But there seems to be more consideration for neighbors here in Korea than in the United States, in our experience, which isn't bad. Now, there's a mixture of Koreans and Americans who are American service members and some other foreigners that are living in our apartment complex. Like I said, we bought our apartment, so hey, we paid for it. We're done. We don't have to pay any more rent. We just pay, the monthly fees, apartment fees, which isn't much, and our utilities and property tax, which is like maybe $200 a year, compared to the house we had in Colorado, which was like $1,700 a year. Utilities are cheaper. But getting back to the consideration, be considerate for your neighbors. Koreans seem to have more consideration for their neighbors, being quiet during quiet hours, especially when you get to like 10 o'clock at night. That's kind of like the cutoff. And I've actually seen documentation and signs saying, hey, quiet time is from 10 o'clock on. no wild parties and stuff like that. But every once in a while, you'll get, at least here, thank God it's not often, you'll get some people that will be loud and stupid. And like, for example, last night, um, I was dozing off, and the wife, it was after 11 o'clock, and there was some parent out there with their kids yelling and screaming and hooting and hollering and playing at 11 o'clock at night. That's 2,300 for military minded folks. Now, can't wait till I get my eyesight back. Won't stab myself in the nose with the straw. So, yeah, I'm all for playing with kids and spending time and doing that, because most people don't do enough of that. And that's a good thing. But at 11 o'clock at night, especially the way the apartments, you have building here, building here, building here, building here, and in the middle is the playground. And when you're hooting and hollering, of course, at night, sound travels farther and louder and all that stuff. And, it's 11 o'clock at night. Be a little considerate. But that's like minimal. We've been here 7 months and haven't experienced anything bad like that. This is like maybe the first or second time, maybe the second time, but the majority of the time, everybody's considerate of their neighbors, and not blasting stereos, not having crazy wild parties. Of course, we're in an area where the rents are a little bit higher, so there's that dynamic as well. So the other thing I end up doing, being retired here, and I'm retired. It's not like I'm retired and I'm working another job and I'm just saying I'm retired in Korea. I'm retired. Okay. So yeah, I don't work at all. I'm done with that. So that gives me a lot of time. And of course, I spend probably an inordinate amount of time on social media, checking out fitness pages of 40 years old and older, and encouraging people, sharing advice, and so on and so forth. And one of the things I've noticed is you get a lot of seniors. I'm 56, and people are basically 40 years old and older. Now, young people do this as well, but it ends up that I see more seniors doing stupid stuff on social media in regards to fitness, and trying to get likes and views and so on and so forth. And it just amazes me. Like this one I saw, there was a gentleman, he has a weight plate, like a 45-pound plate. It stood up on its edge, and he has his feet on this plate as it's standing up. It's not like it's flat, it's standing up on edge. So he's got his feet here, and then he has a plate on each hand, and he's balancing and doing a plank with a balancing plates, or as he's balancing on top of these plates and whatever. And it's like, okay, there's a guy that I saw that he ended up snapped his wrist and broke a finger doing that same thing. And it's like, what purpose does that serve? Really, in the grand scheme of life, what does that serve? Absolutely nothing. Oh, it's advanced balance and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, it's not. It's you're trying to get likes and views, and you're trying to invent shit. And the same people that, they get into health and fitness and they see a little bit of progress, and all of a sudden, they're a fitness expert or want to be a fitness influencer, and the information that they're giving is wrong. There was a lady who was like, oh, you need to do this exercise. It's great for your traps. And it's like, no, that's a shoulder exercise. It's a shoulder isolating exercise. So you shouldn't be using your traps at all. Your shoulders is a lifting up movement, in the front, the side, or the rear. And you're talking about traps, which is like this. If you're getting more activation in your traps and you're not getting it in your shoulders, and you're concluding that it's an exercise for your traps, you need to go back to school. You need to go back to human anatomy. You need to do some research. But, can't tell old people anything. That's how some of us are, is just old and stubborn. We think, oh, this is great. Do it every day. The lady also said, do the same exercise every day for your traps. It's great. And it's like another clueless person who doesn't know about, obviously, what the exercise is meant to do, or recovery, and that you need to have recovery between. Seriously, that you need to have recovery between exercising your muscle groups. Otherwise, it's just overtraining and you're really robbing yourself of getting in shape and getting the most bang for your buck when it comes to working out in health, fitness, exercise, recovery, nutrition, all of that stuff. You really need to go back and learn the basics. But yeah, and it's not just the older folks; it's the younger folks as well. And the other thing that's gone on my nose is the young people, old people, doesn't matter, is that you'll have people that will come on there and they'll say, well, this is how you're supposed to do this exercise for freaky biceps, blah, blah, blah. And then you look at their arms and it's like, but you don't have freaky biceps. Um, you're just taking information from somewhere else and you're making a video to be a fitness influencer when obviously you talk the talk, but you haven't walked the walk yet, and you don't have freaky biceps or massive triceps. So come on now. Might as well get a trained monkey to just, or a parrot to just copy the information and say it and, or put it in a cartoon form. And why are you even in the video at all if you haven't put that into practice and have actually experienced having freaky biceps? Another guy, and they did just pop up out of nowhere. But then there was this guy that I watched, and this was just today as I'm looking down at the ground on my phone, trying to stay prone. This guy says to get massive chest, and he says you need to do these exercises, and the exercises are good. Basically, you can cover your whole chest with decline chest and incline. If advanced techniques and stuff like that, regular bench, you don't really need that. You can do a lot, according to Charles Glass, which is the godfather of bodybuilding. To work your entire chest, you can break it down into decline and incline. You can do regular bench as well. I do it as well, but I focus more on the upper to fill in this upper chest. I do a lot on decline. But I went from having no chest at all to where now I've got that line of separation. You can see some striations between the upper chest and the lower. So at least I got that. But this guy who was doing this exercise is saying how to build, a massive freaky chest and, bulk chest or whatever it was, some fanatical claim. He didn't really have a chest at all. He didn't have that separation between his pecs, and all that stuff. And it's just like, you're making these claims but you haven't done the work showing that this information works. Now, I know I've been in health and fitness long enough, and I've, through my own experience and my body recomp and, adding more volume, heavier weights, 8 to 12 repetitions, because I'm going for size. I'm not going necessarily for strength. That's around 4 to 6 reps, but that's what I found works for me. But if you're trying to become an influencer and you're saying, here's how you can get massive calves and you've got chicken legs, come on now. It just seems we're getting oversaturated. And this reminds me exactly similar times of martial arts. Martial arts became a thing, and all of a sudden the market was flooded with people wanting to be martial arts instructors. And then there was jazzercise, and then there was, and everybody wanted to be a jazzercise instructor. And then, now it's fitness. And then now with social media, now to be a social media fitness influencer, we're just running the same thing over and over again, except stupid people get more exposure. Making up exercises. That's another one. Kind of going back to the guy with the balancing. There's another older guy who was doing something that was extremely stupid and risky. And it's like, oh, well, I saw a 73-year-old lady doing the same thing, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, or I've been doing this for 40, 50 years and blah, blah, blah. Or I've been in health and fitness 40, 50 years. The amount of time that you've been in something does not make you right. Okay. The history is littered with people who have been doing something for decades upon decades, nigh a half a century or so, and they were absolutely wrong. And that's why I kind of like science. That's why I like studies. That's why I like looking at double blind studies of showing what works and what doesn't, what conclusion comes to, some of the variables that were involved. But yet, so many people will make claims that it's just like, seriously, just because you've been doing it doesn't mean that it's 100% apply to everybody. So, for example, there was this guy who was saying, well, you need to eat a certain way, and that's the only way that you can do it. And that, oh, here's the claim. He ended up saying that if you have carbs in the morning, then you're going to gain weight because having those carbs in the morning, your body's automatically going to crave carbs the rest of the day. You're going to overeat, and that's why you're fat. Yeah, you can't make up this stupid stuff. It's like, so this was based on his experience and maybe an experience of a couple other people, bro science, stuff that's been floating around the internet for years and years and just won't die, despite there being studies showing that that's not absolutely true and it's not applicable 100% to everybody. Now, maybe it is for him and a few other people. Maybe it is because he's got some chromosomes that aren't switched on and off in the right places, and he's craving carbs because he has carbs in the morning. But I don't. I mean, look at all the Chinese people and the Asian people, the Koreans, Japanese, all the people that eat rice, Filipinos, and I mean, people that have rice carbs as a staple for breakfast every day, they don't crave carbs all day, and the majority of them are not overweight like we are in the United States. So yeah, you might want to reel back that claim that 100% that if you eat carbs in the morning, you're going to crave them all day, and that's why you're fat, is because you're overeating. That's just not the case. It comes down to personal discipline in caloric intake, or surplus or deficit, your macros. You can be at a certain amount of calories, but if you screw up your macros, in other words, you eat a ton of carbs, which is basically fuel for your body to do the involuntary things, to fuel your exercise, to fuel your recovery. If you go way over on those macros of carbs and you don't use those carbs efficiently, your body's going to store those carbs and those calories for later use in the form of fat. Okay. So, but to claim that if I eat carbs in the morning, that's going to make you fat because you crave carbs, and thus you're just bound to be a slave to eating carbs the rest of the day, and that's why you're fat, is not necessarily the point. It's not applicable to everybody 100%. So you'll get some pretty fanatical claims. I relayed my information as saying, hey, that I reached a certain plateau in my physical fitness. I wasn't seeing muscular gains. Wasn't getting progressive overload. I was plateauing on my PRs and so on and so forth. But I was doing fasted workouts. So I'd eat, the last meal I'd have is like 7, 8 o'clock at night, sleep, wake up, skip breakfast, because breakfast, you break the fast of 8 to 10 hours of sleep. But then a few hours later, go to the gym, work out for a couple hours. And then after that, then I would have my carbs and proteins and so on and so forth. It was when a friend of mine, who was a bodybuilder and physical fitness instructor, personal trainer, said, hey, try adding some carbs to your morning. Add some protein, have some carbs. And it might be uncomfortable for a while because I was so used to doing fasted workouts, get a little bit of bloating. Mainly, my breakfast is oatmeal with a protein shake or whatever. Sometimes just oatmeal and some protein scoop powder, protein powder scoop. And then about an hour, 2 hours later, something like that, go to the gym and do a workout. Well, after about a week of adjustment, I found out that I was having more energy during my workout sessions. My intensity rose. I was making new PRs. I was getting, adding more weight and progressive overload. I started going past the plateaus that I had hit. And that's something that you might want to take into consideration. But according to this guy, who's been doing this over 40 plus years, I was absolutely wrong. And it's like, well, if I can do it and a number of other people do it, and studies have showed that that's a thing, and a lot of people could benefit from that, you can't make the claim that it doesn't work. All you need is just one person to say, hey, here's what I've experienced. So that kind of ruins their claim of 100%. So I've done the fasted workouts. I've done the high protein workouts. I've done the low fat workouts. And yeah, it's the human body is resilient. I know we'll respond to a number of things. Thank God, because people are stupid. We're a stupid species, and however we were designed, there's a lot of flexibility so that the species doesn't die off. So there's that. We have to be thankful for that. But yeah, a lot of stupid stuff on the interwebs. And the other thing I'll talk about health and fitness is body types. Body types, you have the three types. You have the endomorph, mesomorph, and ectomorph. So you have skinny, medium build, and then obviously obese. And they'll say, oh, well, you need a program that addresses your specific body type. That is a myth. That is a marketing ploy. Actually, if you go back to the Somota types, you'll find out that it was actually a psychological thing that some guy came up with. He was a psychiatrist or doctor or whatever, but his thing was all about morals, ethics. If you're a good person, good people are more likely to be good because they are born in that specific body type. You know, the medium build, the fat guy is the jovial, happy-go-lucky type of person, the jolly person, kind of like Santa Claus, and the skinny guy has because they're skinny, that's kind of like a sign that they're going to be distrustworthy. You know, the used car salesman with the thin mustache, and the squinty eyes, looks like a rat. That was kind of his thing. So that's where that came from. And then health and fitness came along and kind of took that and ran with it and said, whoa, now you got to do exercise routine for your body type. I mean, would you want just a regular exercise routine, or do you want a routine that is specifically for your body type? Well, obviously, I don't want a regular routine. I want something, a specialized routine for my body type. It makes me feel special. But to tell you the truth, it ends up a bench press is a bench press. It doesn't matter if you're skinny, medium build, or fat and obese. A bench press is a bench press. Rows are rows, dumbbell curls are dumbbell curls, cardio is cardio. You're going to do the basic exercise when it comes to weightlifting and some cardio. It's the same regardless of body type. So you don't need a specialized routine. Matter of fact, it was a long time ago that I bought a routine just because I was curious and there was a 50% sale, and it was nothing earth shattering at all. And it ends up that I bought it, I downloaded it, and then I went back sometime afterwards and I couldn't have access. The link wasn't working. I said, hey, well, then they sent me the wrong link and it gave me a separate body type, because the original one was for the skinny guy, the ectomorph. And then they sent me one for the bigger guy. There was no difference in the routine at all. Absolutely zero. Same number of sets and repetitions, same number of exercises. It was just put in a different order, but they were the exact same. So in other words, instead of on Monday doing chest and back, maybe you did arms and shoulders, and then you did legs, and then you whatever. All they did is just rearrange it, but the exact same exercises. And people are paying money for these specialized routines, for your body type. It's not true. It's a myth. Just go and look at bodybuilding.com, go on JFit. They have free routines that you can look at for beginning bodybuilding exercise, or weightlifting, whatever, to put on weight. And, you can adjust, you're going to adjust your routine over time anyway. Don't think that you're going to buy that one routine and that's it for the rest of your life. You're going to learn more, you're going to study, you're going to research, or at least you should. And you'll find out and say, well, hey, I'm going to try this exercise. I'm going to switch this out. I'm going to switch that out. I'm going to go from 3 days a week to 5 days a week. And then you'll go to 4 days a week. And then you'll incorporate more cardio. Then you'll do workout in the morning and the evening. And, you'll do different compound movements or exercises. Maybe you have some injuries and you can't do certain exercises, so you replace that. So your routines are going to be fluid throughout your life. The one thing I will add is that during your routines should be 8 to 12 weeks. Excuse me. But between your routines, you should have a deload week. Deload week is where you reduce the number of reps, sets, and or weights. Some people deload for a week or 2 weeks. Some people don't exercise at all. They just do like yoga and stretching for those 2 weeks, and that allows for maximum recovery between your routines, which my 3-year body recomp, I could have cut that down drastically if I'd known about deload and proper recovery times and so on and so forth. So take that into consideration. Recovery is very important. Warrior Worship says, I started skipping breakfast before workouts about a year ago and found my cardio went way up, but my strength dropped. Yeah, I noticed that too myself. The fasted workouts were good for getting rid of at least what it seemed to me, but of course it has to be a calorie deficit of losing body fat. Of course, my protein intake was a little bit higher, but yeah, my cardio, maybe because I also did more cardio. I mean, there's that, but the strength dropped. But then again, as I think back to it, I was doing more for gaining muscle for muscle growth versus strength or power moves. So with strength training, you're going, or powerlifting, things like that, you're going to do 4 to 6 reps, maybe 4 to 8, somewhere around there. Usually it's those lower repetitions with higher weight. And what I'm doing now is with higher repetitions with lower weight. But even then, I still practice progressive overload, and I'm getting more increases. So yeah, it's an ever evolving journey, and you learn things. And the important thing is that I think you'll have people say, "Well, this is the way," and then they'll try to market that and harp on that. And other people will say something is like the exact opposite, like what Warrior was talking about, doing fasted workout versus non-fasted. Um, people will say the exact opposite. Well, this is what works. Well, this is what works. Well, carnivore works. Well, keto works. Well, regular diet works. Well, vegetarian works. Like I said, the human body is very flexible, and you'll get results, but you need to find what works best for you, and you need to make the best informed decision. So, for example, I did the no meat. I did the no meat version diet, and I found that doing just being vegan, that I was losing a lot of protein, and to have that protein, I needed to supplement that in my diet to reach the protein levels that I wanted for myself. But being vegan, it's hard. And there's missing amino acids and supplements and things that you get from eating meat as opposed to when you do the vegan stuff. Now, I'm not going to poo on vegans or meat eaters. I do both because I have canine teeth and regular teeth and molars. I'm a meat and potatoes and veggies guy. So, but just understand that if you do the vegan thing, you're going to have to supplement for protein if you're trying to add muscle. Now, can people do it? Yeah, you can do it. There are vegan protein supplements out there. The problem is, from what I've seen, they really take advantage of the term vegan, and it costs an arm and a leg to try to gain some muscle. So, yeah, it's just very, very different. If that's what you want to do, then go for it. You also got people that'll say, "Oh, you need to stay away from processed foods, and these foods will kill you. These hydrogenated oils are bad for you. Vegetable oils are bad, and margarine's bad. Blah blah blah. It's one molecule away from being plastic, and blah blah blah." However, if all these things that are processed is killing us, then why is our life expectancy like up here at the highest it's ever been in history? There's something to be said for being able to have food and have it be shelf stable for a longer period of time to get to more people, because we're not in an agricultural society. That's a good thing. And then, of course, there's also studies that have been done showing that, all of this fear mongering about, vegetable oils. Oh, sugar is bad for you. Oh, this is bad for you. Oh, I'd never eat oats. Oats are terrible for you. And it's like, do these people not read any studies at all in regards to heart disease, heart health? That causes inflammation. Well, inflammation is a good thing, because when you are exercising, let's say you're working out in the gym lifting weights, and you have those micro muscle tears, the body's response is to repair that, and inflammation to some degree is good to help fix and repair. So it's kind of like saying, well, if you have a fever, you need to immediately take aspirin and fever reducing medication so that you don't have a fever anymore. But there is something to be said of letting a fever run its course to combat and build up a good immune system. So, there's this balance. If it gets up to 101, 102, I would say would be the limit of a fever and say, oh, okay, I need to go see a doctor. For me personally, when I hit 100, 101, 102, I get wrapped up in a bunch of blankets. I heat up and, break the fever, as they called it back in the day, and boom. But again, all of that is your body's immune response to combat against those things in your body that's having problems. So getting rid of all inflammation in your body is not necessarily a good thing. And again, there's, people will say, oh, well, this study showed that inflammation just seems to be a bad poo-poo word, because if any inflammation is bad inflammation, you can't have it. Any sugar is bad sugar and you shouldn't have any sugar. And it's like, but eat fruits and vegetables. And it's like, duh, there's sugar in fruits and vegetables, I mean, but the thing is, if you have a good nutrition plan, and whether you have all organic foods or you have some regular foods that you get from Walmart that are not organic, or you have some processed foods, as long as you're meeting your caloric intake goals along with a good macro ratio, yeah, you're not going to die from those things, the people are fear mongering about on social media. So yeah, it's just kind of, whenever I see somebody talking about, oh, this is bad and this is going to kill you, and then it's like, well, then why are we living so long? If all of these things are supposedly bad for us, then why is our life expectancy like through the roof? And of course, when I ask those questions, then I get blocked. They don't explain that. Let's see what else. Living in Korea tomorrow. I get to experience the Korean, what do we call it, public transportation, because I have to go back to Samsung Medical Center up in Seoul, which that place is huge. They have like 7,400 staff in that hospital alone. And then when you go there, like the number of people that they treat, it's like going into a bus station or a busy train station. It's during rush hour. It's absolutely insane. The amount of people that are walking, and it's like, ooh, yuck. Very different than the United States. But they're efficient, they're fast, and so is their transportation. Because you have a lot of people in a small landmass, you're going to find the efficient ways to get people to and fro. You're going to find fast and efficient ways to do government work, medical, dental, the whole 9 yards. But the public transportation is pretty good. So we'll end up taking a taxi, go to the Pyeongtaek GJ station, train station, SRT, and then we'll take a 25-minute ride from Pyeongtaek station to Seoul. And then there's a free shuttle that goes from that train station in Suseo, I think it is, and free shuttle that goes to Samsung Medical Hospital. We'll do some appointments and get my reeval and see where I'm at, and then we'll get to come back. We have to buy your tickets in advance for the train. There are standing room tickets only that are available, but it's 20, 25 minutes. It's not bad. But yeah, if you want to sit down, there's regular seats, and then there's kind of like business class or first class seating. That's going to obviously cost you a little bit more, but you definitely need to get online and get those tickets ahead of time, because 9.9 times out of 10, they won't have open seats during the week. It's just how busy they are. So yeah, but it's fast and efficient. Sit down, boom, get to the train station, take a shuttle, take a taxi, whatever. You could do the local buses and things like that, which isn't much. But I'm getting older to the point where it's like, city buses. I'm not into those of starting and stopping, and it's just not my thing anymore. When I was younger, it was absolutely cool, but not now. I'm like, okay, I'll pay for a taxi, I'll pay for shuttle. I just want comfort. Okay. I'm entitled to some comfort after working my entire life. So, but yeah, it's things are going well. We're settled in. Hopefully, we were going to go to different places, and I posted some videos like going to a couple cafes or whatever. We were going to do like a cafe once a week or once every other week, but then this medical problem popped up, so that kind of puts a hamper and a stop to that for a while. Um, oh, and I still owe the video on expenses here in Korea. A number of people have contacted me and saying, "Hey, what are the expenses? How does it compare to where you were in the United States?" I've got basically everything written down. I've gotten the bills and our utilities, apartment fees, and stuff like that. I've done it up on the computer, some graphics and pictures and whatever. I just haven't gotten to making the video, and I was just about to get the video, and that's when this vision thing started popping up and having problems. So yeah, eventually I will get that out. I'm not going to say I'm going to get it next week or the week or two because obviously that didn't work out well. So, yeah, that's what we got going on. But yeah, be sure to like and subscribe and continue on. I'll do another update about the medical condition probably tomorrow when we get back or the next day. Lord willing, we'll see how that pans out and let everybody know what's going on. But yeah, eventually I will get my vision back. And the fact that I can see my hand and my fingers, albeit they're all blurry, in my right eye, whereas before I could hold up my hand and not see my hand or fingers at all. Um, couldn't see anything. So yeah, it's a good thing. So anyway, that's going to be it. I spent too much time. It's been 45 minutes, and I need to put my head down and get back into my recovery position. But just an update on what's going on and kind of ranting about some things. And yeah, there's that. Okay. So anyway, we'll see you on the next video. Take care. Peace. Now, how do I stop this? Oh, end stream. Yep, end.